Good morning, everybody. It's Brent, Central Arkansas. Let's do a greenhouse update. Here's a general look. You might notice that I've got a fan up there, and I have put the fan on timer. I have 3 fans actually, and it's on a timer. Looking at Fawn 1, the first platform, I had up on top of the second fawn over there all of these squash, and there was about 2 or 3 of them that I'm really curious to bring forward potentially, and they were just getting beaten to death with the heat up there. They wasn't growing, or they were barely growing, and I moved these down just 2 days ago, and they're already snapping back like big time. So there's definitely the heat up there. Also on this one, I've got some carnival squash going down there, winter squash, and at the very end I've got Malabar spinach. On the next row, I've got the next generation. As you can see here, I've marked them F4. That is line 1, pot number 1 from the videos, and that is the next generation growing right there. And I have to tell you, they are pretty dang consistent between the plants. If you look at this one, it's a little smaller compared to that one. The shape of the leaves, the timing of the way it's growing, and everything seems to be really consistent, which is really good. That means that there's a good possibility to get the next generation out of this, provided I can get the heat to back off a little bit and get a seed squash to mature. On the opposite side of the same Fawn 1, we've got the dragon tongue beans that you may have seen the video too. They're doing okay. I had a little bit of germination issues, and I replanted a couple of them, but so far so good. They're looking pretty good. This is that rooted squash of mine, and you can see it's got a couple squash on it. And I'm actually going to take this male. It doesn't seem to have any pollen on the male, but try to see if I can get to pollinate that one. As you can see, it's growing pretty good. This is Fawn 2, and it's my potato wall, my potato platform. On this end, I've got regular potatoes, both red and roosters. And the middle 4, I've got nothing but sweet potatoes. It was a store-bought brand, and I took 1 potato and made a ton of slips. And I have a video showing how I put all this together. And you'll notice here that a lot of the new growth is not inundated with the white spots from spider mites. I don't think I've gotten rid of them yet, but I've knocked them back pretty good. So I'm hopeful that sweet potatoes will overcome that and really grow aggressively. On the end here, I've got another 3 rows, or 3 columns rather, 4 tall, of potatoes, both red and rooster. And the odd thing about it is my rooster potato is the only one that's popped through the soil yet. The rest are still waiting to pop through. So you can see here, part of what I'm going to do is these grew tall, or grew straight up, and I popped them through the hole here. And that's what I intend to do with all the others. Well, all the others if they start growing. Just a quick shot of the opposite side. It's the one that's got the little masking tape on it, labeling what each pod is. And this is a brighter view of the sweet potato vines. Here's my corn, and the spider mites have done big time damage on it. They are not looking too great at all. I've got heads or corn cobs they're silked out, and they're starting to plump up some. I don't think it's going to be too successful a grow. Probably more than likely this time, because of the spider mites. They have just sapped up all the surface area of the leaves, where chlorophyll is not going to, you know, it's not going to grab the sun and generate the cobs like it should. But let's move on. I've got, on this row, I've got some peppers. Looks like some bell. Yeah, that's a bell. Some mariachis. You've seen this plant a number of times. We got some that are turning red. Beets. We got one pot there and 3 here. And I wanted to show you some of the leaves here. They're promising. They're also showing a knockback of the spider mites, whereas you could tell that before they had pretty good damage on them. Even lost a bunch of leaves here. But in the middle over there, you can see a nice green bell. And what else is on this one? I'm trying to germinate some Alamo turnip greens. Again, the S2 generation, we'll see. I had partial in that one. I'm not sure why they're not germinating, but I'm giving it another shot. On the opposite side of the Fawn 3 platform, I've got what I think is a black cherry here. Lots of flower clusters, fruit or 2, not much at all. I mean, what do you expect in these type of temperatures? Well over 100 every single day. Oddly, you know, you'd think a kale, a cool weather crop, which I thought was a cool weather crop, it's part of the cabbage family, would have died off big time by now, but this thing is just like not showing any signs whatsoever of giving in. It is looking great. I've got carrots here, and they seem to be doing okay. They're normally kind of bitter in the summertime, but we'll see how that goes. On Fawn 4, it's not a very good fawn right now. It doesn't look that great in any way, shape, or form, but I'll take you on a little tour of it anyway. I've got some pretty wimpy looking corn there. It's struggling to stay alive. I don't think it will. Definitely might damage. I've got my Succeed in these next 2 pots, and they are flowering and trying to produce even in this heat, which is encouraging. I mean, I wish they would actually set, but if you had to test the envelope on what a plant can do or not, I guess this is a good test for Succeed. I'll try to look at it positively. Another bell there. I think that's a California Wonder. Cayenne that snapped off, and it's starting to grow back. I think I actually snapped it off because I got one outside that's got 1 billion pods on it. This is another Succeed. This is another bell, another mariachi, and I've got what I think are black cherries. This was the one I grew through the winter even, and it had dropped seed into the pot, and one started growing again, so I took it up, put a cage around it, and we're going to see what that is. I'm pretty sure it's a black cherry, but it is, there's something to say for vigor in new seed. Even in the heat, this plant is trying to produce more as a new plant than this one over here, which has been around since fall last year. I mean, this one's trying to set fruit. That's also a black cherry, I think I mentioned, and this one I'm pretty sure is a black cherry, but the one from seed is doing better. I mean, it's actually producing fruit. So on this row, I had the green beans. I know they were Prevail, the variety Prevail. And this is going to be my test crop for the spider mites, because the spider mites decimated this whole row of Fawn 4 left side, and it is my test crop. I pulled every one out that was so damaged that it was dying. It was dropping leaves and there was just no more growth or nothing on it, so there was no point in trying to do it. The ones that were still alive, you can see here, and they are going to continue to be my test crop. And I also put in some dragon tongue beans, and with those fresh new leaves, hopefully I can tell if there's any spider mite attacks going on. This is Fawn 5, and I've got some cucumber here and here, and there's one here, hopefully that'll pop up. But that cucumber is a new cucumber variety. On the end down there I had one called Unistars. It was a smaller cucumber and it didn't have a good taste to me, hardly at all. I tried it and tried it and tried it. I tried to give it a chance and it just didn't do it for me. So I'm growing a different variety here. I think these are called Monica, M-O-N-I-K-A. I've got some suckers from a Succeed plant, and I think the Campari had crossed to here. No, those weren't suckers. Those were actually plants that I'd overplanted in the pots over here, and then I cut them off completely because they weren't as strong. And there's too many plants over there, and then I put them over here in these buckets. So that's what that is. I've got some new starts here for a potential new tomato for me. I'll get into all that later. And the rest of the pots here. Down here I took one of the brassica planters, and I planted some beans in the 4 arms, and we'll see how that goes. And then finally, on the last fawn here, Fawn 6, I've got not just the zucchini here. I've got one zucchini, and you see it's kind of vining. I haven't gotten it to produce a fruit yet, a flower and a fruit at the same time, but it's still growing nicely. And I'm doing like I've done before many times in the past, and I'm cutting the leaves off as I go and keeping, well, you can see about that many for photosynthesis and all. On this side of this platform, I've got my Succeed next generation seeds, and those were the seed that I did in the World Naked Gardening Day video on that side of this whole row. And on this side over here, I've got a Campari F4 generation cross with a Heg German, and that's what's growing on this whole side over here. And I'll just kind of pan back and let you see. Nice, beautiful growth. Even have some tomatoes coming on. But this heat, even with the flowers, this heat is just not wanting to cooperate. I'm seeing positive results with my Succeed. You know, the big, beautiful trusses and the smaller plant growth. Not as fast a plant growth all throughout. It's what I want to see, and it's pretty consistent there. Now I just hope that they'll set. Probably won't. I mean, it's really hot, really stinking hot. So anyway, that's what's going on. And really, a lot of times I'm just thinking, man, it's not worth continuing anymore this year, because it's just becoming work for no reward. You know, not much reward. I got some peppers that are trying, and well, I just went through all of it. It's all trying, sort of. But once this is the worst part of the month, you know, I mean, part of the year, July and August. So anyway, not the greatest update, but it is what it is. And this is Brent. We'll see you guys later.